Shabbat Shalom, everyone, children of the Most High, Yahweh, our Elohim, and greetings. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shabbat Bible Study. Tonight we'll be studying Bereshith, which is Genesis, chapter 29 and 30. So go ahead and grab your Bibles and we'll get started here, all right? All right. Chapter 29. And Jacob moved on, and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and saw a well in the field, and saw 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a large stone was on the well's mouth. And all the flocks would be gathered there. Then they would roll the stone from the well's mouth, and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. So Jacob said to them, My brothers, where are you from? And they said, We are from Haran. And he said to them, Do you know Laban, son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. So he said to them, Is he well? And they said, Well. And see, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. And he said, See, it is still high day, not the time for the livestock to be gathered together. Water the sheep, and go and feed them. But they said, We are not allowed until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we shall water the sheep. While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to be, when Jacob saw Rachel the daughter of Laban his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban his mother's brother, that Jacob went near, and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And when Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative, and that he was Rebekah's son, she ran and told her father. And it came to be, when Laban heard the report of Jacob his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. Then he told Laban all these matters. And Laban said to him, You are indeed my flesh, my bone, and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a new moon. Then Laban said to Jacob, Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for naught? Let me know, what should your wages be? And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful of form and beautiful of appearance. And Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, Let me serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days, because of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are completed, and let me go in to her. And Laban gathered all the men of the place, and made a feast. And it came to be in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Jacob, and he went in to her. And Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a female servant. And in the morning it came to be that, see, it was Leah. So he said to Laban, What is this you have done to me? What was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me? And Laban said, It is not done this way in our place, to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, then we give you this one too. for the service which you shall serve with me still another 7 years. And Jacob did so, and completed her week. Then he gave him his daughter Rachel too, as wife. And Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a female servant. And he also went in to Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with Laban still another 7 years. And Yahweh saw that Leah was unloved, and he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, For Yahweh has looked on my affliction, because now my husband is going to love me. And she conceived again, and bore a son, and said, Because Yahweh has heard that I am unloved, he gave me this son too. And she called his name Simon. And she conceived again, and bore a son, and said, Now this time my husband is joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. So his name was called Levi. And she conceived again, and bore a son, and said, Now I praise Yahweh. So she called his name Judah, and she ceased bearing. That's chapter 29. There's a lot going on here, gang. Okay, so Jacob showed up, and he got in contact with Uncle Laban. Alright, and Uncle Laban was like, Hey, good to see you, kid. Yeah, well, if you want to work around here, what do you think your wages ought to be? And he says, Oh, I want to marry Rachel. And Laban goes, Alright, cool. You served me 7 years, and we'll do that. Well, it comes time to pay up, and instead of giving him Rachel, he did the old switcheroo and pushed Leah in there. Okay? Gotta understand, there's no light. It's dark. So, Leah probably didn't say anything, and Jacob went into her, and the marriage is on. So then he comes out and he goes, Wait a minute, Uncle Laban, what did you do to me? This was supposed to be for Rachel. Well, Uncle Laban looks at him and goes, Look, kid, we don't do that around here. If you're going to come and ask me to marry my daughters, the oldest one goes first. So if you work for me another 7 years, you can have Rachel too. Okay, now there is something behind all of that. Because Esau, who was the inheritor, the firstborn, was supposed to be hooked up with Leah, the firstborn of Laban. Okay, you see how that works? But because Esau went off the rails, he went and got knee-deep in heathen women. 3 of them. So, that plan didn't work. But Uncle Laban did not care. He still wanted to pawn off the firstborn first. So, hey, he got another 7 years of labor out of Jacob for Rachel. So, we got that going on. Now Rachel is his wife. Okay? And Leah has pumped out 3 sons, 4 sons. 4 sons with Judah. Okay? So, obviously, Jacob wasn't too upset about the whole deal, was he? So now he's got 4 sons. Rachel, she is not born any sons yet. Okay? Yet. So, let's move along. Chapter 30. And when Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said to Jacob, Give me children, or else I am going to die. And Jacob's displeasure burned against Rachel, and he said, Am I in the place of Elohim, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? And she said, "See, my female servant Bilhah, go into her, and let her bear for me, and let me build up for her as well." So she gave him Bilhah, her female servant, as wife, and Jacob went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. And Rachel said, "Elohim has rightly ruled my cause, and has also heard my voice and given me a son." So she called his name Dan. And Rachel's female servant Bilhah conceived again, and bore Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, "With great wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister, and I have overcome." So she called his name Naphtali. And Leah saw that she had ceased bearing, and she took Zilpah, her female servant, and gave her to Jacob as wife. And Leah's female servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. And Leah said, "With Gad." So she called his name Gad. And Leah's female servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. And Leah said, "I am blessed, for the daughters shall call me blessed." So she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found love apples in the field, and brought them to his mother Leah. And Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's love apples." But she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's love apples too?" And Rachel said, "Therefore let him lie with you tonight for your son's love apples." And when Jacob came out of the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "Do come in to me, for indeed I have hired you with my son's love apples." And he lay with her that night. And Elohim listened to Leah, and she conceived, and bore Jacob a fifth son. And Leah said, "Elohim has given me my hire, because I have given my female servant to my husband." So she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and bore Jacob a sixth son. And Leah said, "Elohim has presented me with a good present. Now my husband is going to dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons." So she called his name Zebulun. And afterward she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And Elohim remembered Rachel, and Elohim listened to her, and opened her womb. And she conceived, and bore a son, and said, "Elohim has taken away my reproach." So she called his name Joseph, and said, "Yahweh has added to me another son." And it came to be, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way to go on my own place and to my own land. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you yourself know my service which I have done for you." And Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay, for I have diligently watched that Yahweh has blessed me for your sake." And he said, "Name me your wages, and I give it." So he said to him, "You know how I have served you, and how your livestock has been with me. For the little you had before I came has increased greatly, and Yahweh has blessed you since my coming. But now, when am I to provide for my own house too?" And he said, "What do I give you?" And Jacob said, "Give me naught. If you do this for me, I shall again feed and guard your flocks. Let me pass through all your flocks today, removing from there all the speckled and spotted sheep, and all the black ones among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. And these shall be my wages. And my righteousness shall answer for me in time to come, when you come concerning my wages, every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and black among the lambs, it is stolen, if it is with me. And Laban said, See, let it be according to your word. And on that day he set aside the male goats that were speckled and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had some white in it, and all the black ones among the lambs, and gave them into the hands of his sons. And he put 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. And Jacob took for himself rods of green poplar, and of the almond and chestnut trees, peeled white strips in them, and exposed the white which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters, in the watering troughs where the flocks came to drink, and they conceived when they came to drink. So the flocks conceived before the rods, and the flocks brought forth streaked, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob separated the lambs, and made the flock face towards the streaked, and all the black in the flock of Laban, but he put his own flock by themselves, and did not put them with Laban's flock. And it came to be, whenever the strong ones of the flock conceived, that Jacob placed the rods before the eyes of the flock in the gutters, so that they would conceive among the rods. But when the flocks were weak, he did not put them in, so the weak ones were Laban's, and the strong ones Jacob's. Thus the man increased very much, and had many flocks, and female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. And that ends 29 and 30. What do you think, gang? Seems like Jacob put in an awful lot of work for Laban, for 2 wives and 2 female servants. So now Jacob is pretty much knee-deep in wives. Well, at least they're not heathens. They're from Uncle Laban's place, so they're pure blood at least. But he sure does have a bunch of kids now. Boom, all of a sudden, whew, we got a whole bunch of kids. And let's see here, 7 for Leah, 7 years for Rachel, 7 years for the sheep, 21 years. His kids are grown up. So, yeah, his oldest will be 20 years old if that's the case. So, he's got himself a pre-made tribe, plus all of his male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. So Jacob's all set up. Now it's time for Jacob to skedaddle. And we'll see that on Wednesday, when we do our midweek Bible study. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope that you guys are learning and getting to know the family and understanding what's going on. Okay? So we are witnessing the birth of the 12 tribes of Israel. Interesting, huh? We're going to learn a lot more about them. A lot more about them. So hang with me. Okay? Alright, more to come. We'll see you midweek. Thanks for joining me. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Enjoy your day of rest. Bye.